And first up on PFL Dubai, we've got Abdoul Abdouraguimov taking on Kendly St. Carlos, who you got in this one?
I'm gonna take St. Louis in this one, and it's tough because like both of these guys, wrestlers, they can both wrestle pretty good. Um, haven't seen enough video of Duragimov to be able to say like his wrestling is going to best St. Louis. I think if he's coming in, I think St. Louis can actually stuff some of his attacks, and I do think that on the feet, I would give the edge to St. Louis, but also the fact that Duragimov can when he throws, he kind of throws with everything behind it. So if he lands, it's going to hurt you. But St. Louis has a pretty good reach advantage in this fight. So I don't see him being in that range to get countered so quickly. And I feel that, those long limbs also pose a submission threat and, sweep threats, everything while Abdur Bragimov is on the ground with them as well. So Abdul Bragimov, he can actually get some takedowns and probably get some time ground control and stuff, but I don't necessarily see how else he's going to win this fight. But I could also see St. Louis getting back up. I can see him stuffing takedowns, and on the feet, I could see him actually not hurting him, but at least looking a little bit cleaner, maybe landing a little bit cleaner. And in the judge's eyes, those will probably be the defining moments of the fight. Um, yeah, so I'm going to take St. Louis in this one. I had Abdurakhimov for the entire time until right now. I had to make a decision, and that's what I'm going with. I don't think that Abdurakhimov has what it takes to stand with him. I don't think that he could just keep him down and grounded, and I don't think he's going to pose that submission threat. So.
Yeah, it feels good to be back breaking down the PFL here in 2026. So hit the like and subscribe button if you're enjoying this content. And somebody that is excited to be back fighting the PFL is Kendly St. 3-1 inside the PFL, and he's had a couple of upsets. 35 years old, still going strong, heavy wrestling pace, and a guy that's had a couple of upsets. So I wouldn't be surprised here if he was able to pull off another one. But I am going to go with Abdul Ragimov here. I do think that the Lazy King has got a good stylistic matchup here to be able to tackle St. Louis's problems. And I think that the thing here with St. Louis is he likes to be able to push a heavy wrestling pace. He takes over late in fights. He's got a lot of sort of third round finishes where his opponent's tired from the wrestling. His forward pressure gets a little bit too much, and he lands a big strike, or he's able to kind of get your neck or get your back in a scramble and ultimately find the choke. And I just think that Abdul Ragimov here is a guy that can kind of best St. Louis anywhere. I think St. Louis is the better athlete. I do think that he's going to be able to have, kind of the better cardio as this fight plays out. But Abdul Ragimov here, the Lazy King, don't let the name fool you. I think on the feet, he kind of, lures you into a false sense of security. He throws one shot at a time. He frustrates you. He doesn't necessarily let you kind of have your way. He kind of just picks and prods at you, lets you make an opening for him to capitalize on. And once he gets you where he wants you, that's when he starts to go to work. Once he backs you up against a fence, whether that be with blasting a kick or forward pressure, he shoots in, he ducks in, he goes for a double leg. He transitions very nicely to single legs as well. I think he chains his wrestling together. When he knows that his opponent has defended the first takedown, he's got second, third attempts here. He chains together, he gets on top, and once he gets on top, he is pretty dangerous. Obviously, most of his wins, most of his 19 wins do come inside the distance via submission. I like his ground game, and I think with Kendly St. most of his fights, he likes to be able to push the wrestling. He likes to be able to push a pace. And I think if he goes and shoots in here against Abdul Ragimov, he's either going to get subbed or he's going to end up where Abdul Ragimov's going to be able to sweep him, get into a dominant position, and ultimately find a finish on the ground. I think in the striking, Kendly St. is going to be faster. He tends to wing kicks as well, which is always going to be a dangerous weapon for him. But ultimately, I think this one comes down to the grappling, and Abdul Ragimov gets it done there.